Hi, my name's Guy and I work in the field of digital imaging, and this coming weekend I'm going to be working at the FotoFair in Holland and I'm going to be demonstrating what I do. What I do is I work in post-production mainly, and I focus on workflow, how to get the most amount of images processed and retouched in the shortest amount of time but without compromising quality, ensuring that the image is the highest quality it can be. Let me give you an example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this image here. This is a little test shot that I took. It's just around the corner where I live. Let me just show you the clipping. The clipping is in the highlight areas as you would expect, and it's also in the color. And that's very important. The clipping also occurs in color areas too. So my workflow would be simple. It would just be to do this in my raw converter and then get it into Photoshop as quickly as possible. Once it's in Photoshop, then I can process this image with my processing action. This is my processing philosophy, which has been, I guess, in my head and in the hands of the thousands of users around the world for 15 years. And for the last 10 years, it's gone through a massive change in terms of opening up details, or you might call it extending the dynamic range. I'm going to try really hard not to say that awful word called HDR. Because basically that just seems to make the images look a bit stupid. I want my image to be realistic. And that's the hardest thing in the world to do. So like I said, in the last 10 years, it's gone through major upgrades. And let me just show you the most important buttons here. The buttons I'm showing you here are these. These are the activator buttons. You have just normal processing, and then you have the really important thing, which is 0.5, +1, 1.5 and 2 EV buttons. This image to me just looks like it needs extra shadow detail now. I've brought back all the highlight detail in the raw converter, and now what I want to do is rescue or get back amazingly high quality shadow detail, and that's what I specialize in. So I'm just going to do what a photographer would do at the time maybe. So if you saw this image on the back of the camera, you'd probably say to yourself, let's do exposure compensation by 1.5 stops. The problem is, if you did that, you know that the act of doing that would overexpose the highlights. Wouldn't it be great if we had a camera where you could say exposure compensation 1.5 and get the shadows, but pin it at the highlights so they don't change? So look, I just hit this button, 1.5. This puts the image through something like 160 to 180 different tiny little incremental steps, little processes, and it gives you an image which, I don't know, is about as realistic as this could be. So this will be finished in just a second. I take all these steps and I put them in 3 distinct categories to achieve this, and now the image is done. And that's the most realistic image that I can get from my camera. I can't use the image that comes from the camera and think that's okay, but that really is. So let's just go and put this back and compare it to where it came from. Let me just get that right. And there you go. We have the original on the left hand side. Let me just move out the way a bit for you. So we've got the original on the left hand side, which is compressed in the highlights and compressed in the shadows. One single change occurs in the raw converter to turn it into that. Now I have all the detail I need. I take it into Photoshop, I press a button, and it looks like that within 20 seconds. What I'll be doing at this photographic event is I'll be demonstrating how this works, why it works. I'll be giving you instruction as to some things you can take away with you so you can test to make sure. And I'll be giving you some details of the membership on my website. So if that is of any interest to you, which I'm sure it is, why don't you come along and then let me demonstrate it to you. So I look forward to seeing you there. Bye.